This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Clive, and behind the camera this morning we have Marcel. And as soon as we left the lodge, 3 minutes away from the lodge, we've come across a beautiful elephant bull, just slowly feeding off on the left-hand side of the road here. Now, the very strange thing you'll see about this elephant, if you look closely, he actually doesn't have any tusks, which is very, very strange. It's not actually an elephant bull I've seen before, but I've heard about him. And he actually broke through from a neighboring reserve onto our property here. And he could have lost those tusks when he was much younger, maybe in fights or something, but really, really beautiful to see him. Just remember, the first 45 minutes of the show is dedicated to the kids' questions. So, guys, if you have any questions, please send them through to kidsequestions@wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you all. So, as you can see, the sun hasn't even risen yet, but there's a beautiful orange color coming to the sky on the east. Exactly the direction this elephant is walking. I know for those of you who have watched a lot of these episodes before, you've obviously seen quite a few elephants before, and it's always so special to see them. They just have such a calm swagger about them. So this is just a lone elephant bull that's off by himself, which is, a lot of people think maybe that's a bit strange because normally you see elephants in big herds. But it's not unusual at all for a big old elephant bull like this to be off by himself. Sometimes they'll join up with other little groups of a few other elephants. So even still, there could be another elephant or two around here, which will be other bulls as well. But we've been sitting here for about 15 minutes or so, and we haven't heard any more. And you can imagine how much noise the elephant makes while it's feeding, with pushing down branches and pulling up little trees. So they do tend to make a bit of noise, and you usually do hear them. Even though usually elephants will use those tusks to help them feed, to break off branches and scrape off pieces of bark off of trees, he's still got his trunk, which is obviously very, very helpful for picking up food, and that's pretty much all he needs. It's not imperative that he has his tusks. Morning, Carter. So just like you and me, these elephants obviously get born with teeth, and slowly the tusks, which are just modified teeth, start growing longer and longer. But it's only by the time they are about a year old that you just start seeing the tip coming out from below their lips. And then slowly throughout their life it just grows and grows. And a big elephant bull like this, if he did have tusks, I'm sure they would be pretty impressive. So yes, from when they're born, those tusks start growing. Right, kids, for now, we're going to carry on seeing what we can find this morning. We're going to try and find some cheetah or lions, any of the cats really. And for now, we're going to send you across to Steve in Djuma.
Thank you, Clive, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. My name is, well, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just enjoy the sun for a little second, shall we? Because it's just cresting over the horizon. And boys and girls, if you're watching, please send through your questions. kids@wildearth.tv. There's a wonderful 12 degrees Celsius, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And we were sitting in camp just before going out, and I heard either leopard mating or it's a lion doing something naughty. So we've moved into the area. We just switched off quietly to have a listen to see if we could hear anything more. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. Finally, we get to that part. My name is Steve Falkovich. I'm joined by PK on camera, and welcome to the morning sunrise safari. Now let's go back over to the sun. Now, it's very important to sit and listen. We were sitting and listening before because it sounded like the noise was a lot closer. And then I heard elephants trumpeting from this area. Haven't found any tracks on the ground except for hyenas. Definitely was a big cat that made that noise. It's either that growling noise made with a mating pair or the noise lions make when they kill something. But we're much closer to that area now. We can't hear anything. We're going to go back around the corner, see if we can find anything. So please jump on board the morning safari today. Very excited to have you all with us. Everyone's saying how phenomenal it is to watch the sunrise. Oh, everyone, I do try and bring it to you every morning. A little bit of a custom. All of the birds calling. Just going to leave you with it for a moment. We're going to move on, see if we can pick up on who made all this noise. Let's send you over to Ambion and Gala to say good morning to Rowan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ambion and Gala with me, Rowan, and Owen behind the camera. We've actually just taken this moment. We were driving here, and it's just a warm patch. So we decided to sit for a while, and that's why the lens is fogging up like that. Wanted to sit for a while and just appreciate the heat a little bit. I was wearing a beanie with a hat on top, and then everyone was just saying how terrible it looked, so I had to take it off just before I went on live TV. Anyway, we've got some impalas on the left, wildebeest further up on the right, and what we're actually doing on this road is the small pride that Eric saw last night. We came to see what they've done during the night. So we found their trucks, but now their trucks are going up this road, and this is our eastern boundary. So if they turn off right, we're in trouble, and they've gone off our property. But if they turn off to the left, we possibly could find them. So let's leave our warm patch and see. Might find the there's one wildebeest standing just up ahead. Looks like he's by himself. Territorial male behind us. Oh no, sorry, there's a second one.
Not a territorial male. Jeremy is saying good morning, Impala. Good morning, Impala, from Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy. The wildebeest, they also look quite cold, all bunched up together. Was a bit of safety for them. The one on the right has quite a nice beard going down. Longer than the one on the left, even though he's younger. Very aware of everything still going on around them. You can see how their heads move from side to side, ears popping towards us and then going forward and then listening in other directions. But they wouldn't have slept here, they would have slept behind us somewhere. There's a very big open clearing known as Buffalo Flats, so they would have spent the night here, and then just as the sun was rising, as it started to get lighter, they'll move off to better foraging areas. And a very quiet morning. Like Steve, we didn't have any growling. Nicholas wants to know, Nicholas is 10 years old and he wants to know, how do wildebeest and all the animals find their homes if all the bush looks the same? Nicholas, very good question. For them, it does not all look the same, and for them, their sense of smell is so good, so they'll be able to know, this is my spot, because their own scent is in that area. So we often get that question as rangers, how do you know your way around? And it's basically the same thing. So in your first 3 or 4 times, you'd think all the bush looks the same. But then after a while, you get to notice, certain landmarks only on certain roads. And so the bush starts looking different. That's how, Nick, when you drive around Johannesburg now, how often do you still read road names? You don't anymore, because you know your own neighborhood. And it's basically the same thing here. OD, I'm going to reverse a little bit. So you can just show people that I'm not actually I'm not lying about this. I'm trying to unwrap myself. You see all the lion tracks going up here. So small pride. See female and a couple of youngsters all going up this road. So fingers crossed they turn to the left and not to the right. Anyway, while we cross our fingers and hope for the best, we're going to send you over to Taylor in the Pridelands, who wants to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Pridelands. We are staring at some lion footprints in the sand, which is really exciting because they are nice and fresh. And these big tracks belong to a male lion. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert. And, well, it's very exciting. It's very cold here in Pridelands, but these lion tracks are exceptionally fresh. They probably walked here not too long ago. And we know that one lion is injured and he's got a little bit of a limp. So they haven't been moving at a particularly quick pace. So I'm going to go into the car and we are going to try and follow them. And guess what? We're on Marula Lane, my favorite road on Pridelands. Literally don't need to go anywhere. You just have to drive up and down this road. So we're going to head towards, where are we going? Leopard Dam. That's where we're going to be heading. And maybe they've gone to have a drink over there. It's kind of water. But what I'm really excited is that we might be able to show you our favorite road with all the marula trees. So I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit to get us there while we've still got some nice light. But how exciting! Lions. I've also been looking up in the trees for leopards. Haven't found a leopard, obviously. But I think we might be in luck today for some lions. So just as we drive about, I'll just keep scanning and then every now and then just look over the side of the car just to make sure that I can find some lions. Just need to. With all this cold, unfortunately, I don't know. I cannot, for technology, sorry, I just have to plug my mobile device into the battery bank, otherwise it's going to die and I won't be able to hear all your wonderful questions. Look at this road, here it is. Okay, so here is the start of the Marula Road. Now I'm going to drive really slowly so Gert can frame it up beautifully. Every day, and we've been trying to get live for all of you. So look at this. So it's all these big marula trees that are now grown over the road, their branches stretched out. It's much better when you come from the other way and drive into the light. But it's kind of quite eerie. Isn't that epic? One day we'll see a leopard poised on one of these branches. Not today though. Not today. Anyways, that's the extent of the road. It's short, but it's quite wonderful. Should we go back and do it the other way? The other way is prettier with the light. You have the sort of backlighting, which is nice. So I can still see the lion tracks going up into the road. That's good. So we know that we're still on the right track. I'm hoping that we can find these cats live with you. It's always quite fun, hey, when you come around the corner and then you find the animal that you've been searching for. There's a little bit of an open area up here. See if they haven't stopped to have a little break. Right. But we're going to keep on searching around here, and hopefully the next time you come to us, we'll have some big cats. Or if you go to Steve, who's also spending some time on the ground.
Thanks, Taylor. Well, everybody, we haven't found what we're looking for, but I don't know if you can see this mark on the ground here. Can you see this, Beaks?
Not there, yep.
That is a drag mark, everybody. Now, I'm trying to see what tracks are in the drag mark. There's water thickening. We don't expect them to be dragging anything. There's elephants moving. This kind of drag mark is there's a genet on top of it, civet on top of it. So this kind of drag mark is normally the result of an animal like a leopard or a hyena, or even a lion, taking something in its mouth and pulling it along the road. Now it either went that side or it's gone this side. Now I can't actually see any sort of animal tracks that would have dragged it, like a lion or a leopard or a hyena. But it's gone either that way, so this requires some investigation. So I'm just going to check a little bit over here. You see if anything's brushed off onto the vegetation. When an animal drags, if it's a leopard, it wants to go to a tree, so it's going to kind of look, and you can kind of see the tallest tree, that one in the background. So you kind of get an idea of where it's possibly, if it is dragging something, going. But suddenly, when an area like this becomes quite difficult to see, because there's no vegetation disturbed. Kerry from Australia, you want to know if I've seen Hukumuri again? No, but this is his sort of area. This is his sort of area. So there's not too much disturbed vegetation going in that direction. This is always interesting. Look for the biggest tree. Yesterday, do you remember we were looking for Tundi and she was in the smallest tree? If you don't remember, she then lost that kill to a lion. We weren't able to find either of them. Okay. Just going to have to investigate this quite thoroughly. It doesn't look like it went that way. Okay, very good. Well, while we try to figure out exactly who made these marks in the sand, send you over to And Beyond Pinder with Clive.
Hello, and welcome back again. We are driving around this area here in search of we were hoping for some cheetah. Someone's just radioed me from close to our airstrip saying that they can hear some hyena, and there's some impala making alarm calls, making like a snorting sound, which they only do if they can see one of the predators. So quite possibly there could be something around there. It might be those hyenas that they are alarming at, but there could also be something like a leopard, or maybe the cheetah we're looking for, or even some lions. You never know. But we're coming past also some of these really nice kind of open areas. Really nice open areas. How exciting would it be if we are able to find a cheetah for you this morning? I really, really hope we can. So this is normally a huge area full of water. Marcel's just going to pan across there. You can see there's just one tiny little puddle with quite a big bird in it, actually, come to think about it. Have a look at that. So that is all the water that's left in this massive, it's normally a massive watering hole. But look at that stalk there. This is called a woolly-necked stalk. Very pretty birds, and what he's doing is he's walking around the edge of the water there, looking for maybe any frogs or any other little animals, even small fish, although I don't think there's any fish left in there. But even any small fish or anything that could be around there, crabs. But also just have a listen to this, all the beautiful birds this morning. MGN, you're saying what a cool name for a bird. I agree, a woolly-necked stork. I don't really know how they get it, because if you have a look at its neck, it's not any thicker than normal. You would think with a name like woolly-necked it would be much thicker or lots of feathers or something like that, but he doesn't have. But it's still a really pretty bird. As soon as the sun starts hitting its side, it gets beautiful colors. But he's moving away from the water now, so we are going to do exactly the same. Let's carry on our search. Yeah, so as we're coming through these areas, I'm going to be keeping a good lookout on the ground to see if there's any tracks. I know Jared was looking for the same cheetah yesterday afternoon without any luck. So hopefully we can have a little bit of luck this morning. Oh, look at the beautiful sunrise as well. There's another 2 watering holes coming up in that direction. I think we're going to head straight towards those watering holes. And while we go and check around those watering holes to see if there's any animals around there, we're going to send you across to Ngala. They are on the search for some lions this morning.
Clive, I think I'm going to do exactly what you did. So while we're driving, the tracks actually turned off to the left, but now the next road is actually right parallel to us. But to get to that road, we need to go up this road for about 700 meters and then turn around back. So there's a massive loop that I have to do to check the next road, see if the tracks cross over there. Then from there, we're also going to a watering hole. So fingers crossed we can find a big cat on at least one of the properties we're viewing this morning. Otherwise, not too much has happened. I know Odie has been chatting a lot to Emma about wiping the camera that keeps fogging up because it's cold, it's warm, it's a hot pocket, it's a cold pocket. It's a bit like swimming in a public pool, driving in winter times, if you know what I mean. Anyway, no more line trucks on this road, so we are going to speed things up a little bit so we can go around to the other road. Whew. This is a hot pocket, by the way. Let's see, I've taken my beanie off now completely. Although I feel like the Oros man, my movements are restricted because I'm wearing so many layers. And my nose is cold. So I apologize if I sniff every now and then. Emma says I look like the Michelin man. Emma, you owe us a cake. I heard all the kids are going ew at my public pool comparison. I don't really know how else to describe it. So yeah, I'm glad all of you know what I mean though. See a lot of birdies on the road, especially in the morning. You'll find the emerald spotted wood doves, everything coming to relax on the road. Might see some double banded sandgrass. I'll stop the car if I see one of those. They are absolutely beautiful. It's always quite funny though. You drive, and then a bird flies up and it flies off the road a little bit, does a loop, and then lands on the road again. So it's just making their mornings so tough. So we are now heading in a northerly direction on the eastern boundary. Oh, Anna is asking if we are not expecting a cold front in the next couple of days. Anna, I think we actually might be. I hope not. But there's a cold front hitting Cape Town. So it might just pop up all the way to here. This is actually quite cool. I wish I could describe this feeling to you guys, but what this is a rubbing post. So often what you'll get is you'll get rhino, buffalo, elephant, things like that coming to rub against you. So now, if you feel this, it is so nice and smooth. You can actually see it on the camera. Because just up ahead, there's a small little mud wallow or pan. I'm just putting my blankie on. There's a small mud wallow, so all of these animals during summertime, they'll come and they'll actually come lie down or roll around in the mud when there is water. And then from here, as the mud dries up, it cakes and it makes them itchy. See, the mud wallow, yeah. And then they want to rub it off, so they'll go to that rubbing post, just rub off all the mud. Which is quite cool in summertime. If you then scrape off the mud, sometimes you can see ticks still inside the mud. So it's another way for them to get rid of ticks or external parasites as well. Oh, sorry Emma, you're gonna have to repeat that. I think because I went through a dip, I can't really hear what Brendan asked. Looks quite comfy, Odie? Is that what you say? Raymond wants a rubbing post. Raymond, funny enough, I've always imagined if I have a house one day to have a rubbing post in my bar. But then I guess just to have you know that if you take anything out of this area, it's considered poaching. Even if you take a rubbing post from it, if you take anything from a national park or this bushveld area. So sadly, Raymond, I think we're going to have to make our own rubbing posts. Oh, it's warming up quite nicely. You can see we're going up, so getting very, very nicely. Where are we going? Okay, sorry, I think the signal is quite bad, but as we go up, it's going to get better. So for now, I'm going to send you over to Steve with a giraffe.
thanks, Rowan. We found a very nice giraffe. I drank that drag market. It hasn't gone anywhere. I couldn't find any. Well, it's gone somewhere, but I couldn't find anything. Well, we've got a giraffe now. He's just going to sit quietly and listen. Now, watch this giraffe's mouth, boys and girls. It's his mouth. He was busy chewing on some bone a moment ago. I think he's still chewing on some. These animals will chew on bone in the dry months to access the calcium that you find in bone. They don't have the ability to go to the pharmacy or health shop and get some very nice sort of supplements to their diet. And yes, his ossicone is very bent. That's been broken through fighting. Watching us deliberately, and it's a really nice place to stop with giraffe, because if there's anything going on, we'll be able to hear it in a moment. If it's that leopard pair, we'll hear them make a noise again. There's no tracks on the road for leopards or lions in this area. The giraffe seems very interested in you, BK. Those wonderful eyelashes. Now, boys and girls, you might ask, why does giraffe have such nice eyelashes that every lady in the world is jealous of? It's because they've got a very long face which they stick into the bushes, and the eyelashes are very strong and like a brush. They protect the eyes against the sticks and the thorns. So that's why they've got such lovely eyelashes. Very good. Well, the sun has long since risen in Djuma. It's just rising in Tswalu. The guys are on foot. Let's go say good morning.
Good morning, stations. Henry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to cut to the chase over here. Jeandre and Dylan here. We've just walked in to have a look at the meerkats, and we got 5 cheetah. A mother with 4 cubs. I can't believe this. We just walked in to come view the meerkats, and in the distance, these 5 cheetah just get up. I mean, we were like completely blown away. So they're quite far, and unfortunately unfortunately we're on foot, so we don't have a great visual there. But they were just like ambling along in this open clearing, just moved out of there. I can't believe it. It was like this took us completely by surprise. The sun's still a long way from being up. Yeah, sun's still another 15 minutes before it even rises here. I'm just absolutely stunned. The last thing, we were just chatting on the way in to get our kit ready, and next thing comes cheetah. Drink. So good morning. That's an amazing morning. Yeah, it's not like the last thing that was on our minds. Well, there's a good lesson in that. You know, you never know what to expect. Yeah, that's a great start to the morning. Eh? Can you see him there, Captain? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're just hoping for another glimpse now, but I don't know if we are going to manage that. I'm just going to move across to the right here and see if they pop out this side. Wow, 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 wow. Yo. Well, there's a rude awakening. Well, actually, these ones, at the moment, like I say, we were just, Jeandre and I, when we walked in carrying our equipment, we were chatting, so we weren't like being as observant probably as we should have been. And they got up at about 100 yards from us and then just walked off. So they didn't, there was no aggression there, but they didn't stick around really. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that they're too relaxed with people on foot. I wish they were a little bit more relaxed. But the nice thing is they're certainly not a threat to us. You know, for us to go and set up at the Meerkat show is not going to be a threat or anything from the cheetah. But Yeah, I just wish we'd actually got them like 5 minutes sooner. It would have. Although we're still a long way from actually getting any decent light, unfortunately. But it's just so exciting to see her. Sure. So the Meerkat Burrows from where we're standing are just through this gap over here. And the cheetah was straight through here. Oh, Jason's just saying, what a way to start the day. I know, it's like amazing. We haven't even done a proper intro yet, but yeah, I think we can leave intros if we're looking at things like this. Yes. Wow. That's what I love about the outdoors. Whether you're in the oceans or mountains or rivers or your forest, savannah like this, anywhere, just you never know what's gonna crop up. Wow. Chandra, we must do this more often. Yes, so cool. So cool. Well, I'm just sorry we didn't have a better visual with all of you. Raymond, do I look like a runner? Actually, I do run, but I'm not very good at it. But I think those cheetah will have the advantage. Yeah, they'll definitely have the advantage. I'm sure Chandra would love me to run at you. It'll get him some good footage. He's nodding. So let me have a cup of coffee first, and then I'll make a decision. Look at the color on those clouds. Just that interest. Look at that. Look how beautiful this morning is. Another tough day in Africa, eh? Well, Chandra and I, we're going to get all our kit set up, and we're going to move a little bit closer to the burrows and have a cup of coffee. And in the meantime, head back over to Steve, who's looking for leopards.
Good morning again, everyone. Well, we are on the search for whatever it is that made that noise. Whatever it is that made that noise doesn't seem to have any feet. We haven't found any tracks. So, I'm a bit perplexed. The problem is with this earpiece that we have here, it also limits my exact directional hearing. So, I'm checking further and further and further. Different angles. So we were there and we heard it seemingly from here. So let's go check this road. This is a nice access for our male leopard, Hukumuri normally. We always look in the morning for tracks, boys and girls, because there we go. There we go. There is a female track. That's exactly what we're looking for. Female track. Can you see it, BK? With some poo. Female track, right, yeah. Some poo. The car rolling. Sorry. Okay, so where did she go to? It's gone this way. So I reckon my thought to check that other road, Caliga, was a good idea. But we checked this junction before. There was nothing. Always like to check these junctions because they're sandy. Ground is soft. Jeff, yes, we're on the right track. That is, I'm guessing it's Shadulu. She loves this area. And I think she's come back in for a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe she's found Hukumuri. But where did you go, my darling? I don't know where she went to. It's always worth just double checking on foot. You've always got to be careful when you step out there. Make sure that you can see a fair bit of distance. But these junctions like this are so important. Our animals love to walk on them. love to walk on these roads. And that tree over there, every leopard that walks past scent marks and smells that tree. Okay, so she's somehow got from there somewhere else. Maybe she's cut through in here. We're going to drive down this way. Lots of hyena tracks going there. Hyenas, remember, like to follow our leopards. But the sound I heard sounded like it was coming from there, which makes me feel like she crossed the road here. Didn't see anything before, did we, BK? I missed it. She came here, smelled the tree. I loved it. They come up to the tree and they turn their bottom and they spray. Okay, so it's in this block. Oh, I missed that. Okay, so there's a male leopard. Well, which I follow up and see if we can find who they are and where they are. Let's go. It's Clive who's listening to alarm calls.
So from looking for a male leopard with Steve to now looking for a female leopard with us. Those alarm calls that were happening just now were some monkeys a little bit behind us. And there were very fresh tracks of a female leopard just behind us. So we are going to just look around here and see if we can find this leopard, which will be really, really nice. All the grass, because it's winter and there's a lot of dew on the grass, there's a good chance this leopard's not going to be wanting to walk through the grass because it's really wet. Should probably rather stick to the roads or the big main game trails. That's what we're hoping anyway. So at this time of the year in winter, when it's a bit colder at night and even the days are nice and cool, these leopards tend to be so much more active than in summer. In summer they don't move around much when it's light. But that's one of the really nice things about winter. And it definitely is a leopard type morning, that is for sure. Problem is it's on the left hand side, which means I'm looking straight into the sun, which doesn't make it easy, but but we're gonna give it our best shot here anyway. But definitely a leopard type of morning. There's off on this left hand side, there's also a lot of nice big trees with big horizontal branches, which again will be out of that wet grass. So maybe that's another place that this leopard might be looking for. There's a road on our left hand side here, so we're going to take that road and go towards that direction where the last tracks moved towards. Whoa, this grass is long here. Look at this. I'm sure you've seen leopards and their coloration and how well camouflaged they can be in grass, especially when the grass is going brown like it is now. They are extremely well camouflaged. All right, apparently there's quite a few kids wondering how often we see leopards here. We are better known for cheetah viewing here. Leopard is a little bit tougher, but normally when there's guests here and there's lots of vehicles driving around, we tend to find a fair amount. There's some that are very unrelaxed and nervous of the vehicles, and they tend to run away. But then there's others that have grown up around the vehicles and they are very relaxed, and those ones we get to know quite well. Like the leopards in, let's say, Djuma, that you guys follow the whole life stories of. We have a few here as well. It's definitely harder when there's not as many cars driving around as when there's guests here. Look at these beautiful trees for leopard to lie in. Go ahead. Okay, copy. There's so many places for a leopard to hide in here, that's for sure. So there's searches going on all over for these big cats. Us with leopard, Steve with leopard. But for now we're going to send you over to Steve at Anbianangala to Rowan at Anbianangala to see if he's come right with his lion search.
Can't believe Clive called me Steve. Sis Clive? Right, so on our side, our search is still going on for this small pride of lions. We have now looped around to the next road that runs parallel to the boundary road where we were. So far, no tracks coming off here. Where I showed the rubbing post, we are just a little bit south of that now on the road parallel to it. And still just looking for any tracks. Lots of hyena tracks though. Oh, here we go. I just found the lion track. Okay, so lion track heading that way, which means now we go around again. But this time we go to the watering hole, so hopefully that proves to be more fruitful. Odie, keep an eye out for lions. So it seems like they just crossed. They didn't actually spend too much time walking on this road. So hopefully they had water on their mind and that's where they wanted to go straight to. Quite nice to drive here. This road is called 3 times and it seems like no one's driven here in at least a week. So the amount of tracks you have here now, so it's quite nice to see, especially with the lion tracks. It's on top of everything else. So you know it's from last night. There's a big cat search going on this morning. Everyone looking for a leopard, lion or cheetah. I believe Tswalu found 5 cheetah straight off the bat. So they've won that little competition. Well done. Okay, so it seems that Kitty's Drive has come to an end. It is now all over, but we still want questions and comments from everyone else. Everyone else allowed to join in now. So hashtag Wild Earth on Twitch or Twitter, or at FC on YouTube to send through your questions. We would love to hear from you, please. It's quite a large termite mound. We passed by a termite mound a little bit earlier, and I told Owen that is pretty much the only mountain we have on Ngala. To give an idea, it's probably, what would you say, 3.5 meters tall. It's really big. Probably the largest termite mound we have in this area. Still active as well. It's quite nice to see. Okay, no lion tracks here, so it doesn't look like they've crossed back. Which is good news for us, so they are on and beyond Ngala. The reason why I'm so adamant to find them is because I believe it's squirrel pride. Oh. Okay, so Fred wants us to start looking for Garfield. Fred, good idea. That might be a little bit less pressure on me. We'll let everyone else look for the hard stuff like Cheetah and Leopard, and then we just go search for Garfield. We could do that, Fred. I'd also be quite happy. What I was saying is, well, I'm so adamant to find this pride, this small little pride, is because I believe it's squirrel pride. So when I started on and beyond Ngala, this was the pride that was territorial in this area. And then about 4 years ago, Birmingham Pride came in and they took over territory, and Squirrel Pride moved over further east. But for now, while we make our way towards the watering hole, I'm going to send you back over to the Pridelands and Taylor looking at a hornbill.
I don't know how to... I just had some audio issues, but I don't know how much you heard of it, but I was just talking about this lovely southern red hornbill and its search for breakfast. I'll move forward. Let's see if we can get it to stay. It's unfortunately not very well trained, but we shall see. There's quite a few other birds around here too. So we'll see if we can see some of them. Like I said, it's been freezing. So all the birds should be warming up. Don't fly. There it is again. Oh. Also, my stomach is making an incredible noise. I need to eat something too. So it's decided to move off of the road and just in the long grass. And I think that this bird has definitely got an advantage today because all the insects that are still alive are going to be freezing cold. So they'll just be, stuck on a stick or laying patiently underneath a leaf to try and, keep some warmth. But little do they know that this hornbill has come about. Off it's flown. Okay, so we've stopped looking for the male lions. We started tracking this morning, and we weren't too far. They actually went, I'll just give you an update. They went through and they drank water at Leopard Dam, and then they turned, and we thought they were heading in the direction where a buffalo herd was seen yesterday. But there were quite a few other people driving around, so I'm actually not sure where the tracks go anymore. So I won't be tracking. We'll just hopefully bump into some. Also lots and lots of leopard. So we shall be keeping an eye out and up in the trees for something like that. But I would like to find a big breeding herd of elephants and spend some time with them. That would be the ultimate goal. Again, you always seem to catch me when I've got only one glove on. The other one can come off now. It's starting to warm up, but I thought I had frostbite in my fingers earlier. They were so cold. Okay, where are the rest of the animals? There are lots of elephant tracks moving through here. So there could be some. And when we did stop at Leopard Dam, we heard branches. There must be about a little while to figure out where they are. Oh, here's Mike. Hang on, let me try and show you this bird. I'm just going to go forward. Can you see it there? Oh, it's not a great view. It's just sitting up on the side. Can you see it? So there we go. There is the brown and something else fluttering around. No, come back. Why? Rude. Classic birds. Bill, you've asked about birds much larger than a southern white-crowned shrike. I'm going to stop momentarily. Do you think I'll be able to find a picture very quickly in my bird book? Probably not. Let's go to G. No, hornbill, ground hornbill, 266. Look at me go. I'm getting much better at this now. I've decided to move away from using apps. I want to feel the paper between my fingers. So, if you look up there, there's a southern ground hornbill. If you've never seen one of these normal birds, they're quite spectacular. I guess we see them here at Pridelands. Not so long ago, we actually found a small family roosting up in a lead. They like to hang around the big open area. Well, they feed anyway. They have a preference. But just like the smaller hornbill species, they like to eat insects, but their beak is powerful and much bigger, so need small mammals and reptiles too. Some audio issues this morning. Apologies for that. Off you go again to Tswalu to see what else is out and about.
We have a dolphin. A proper dolphin. We're not kidding you. We have it, and there it is. For those of you disbelievers amongst us. Chandra, stop laughing. But anyway, so we just wanted to show you how cool it is. So that was our dolphin for the morning. But this is, so we've got the Meerkat Burrows here. This is the main burrow site. And remember we got so excited about those cheetah coming past. Look how close they were to the actual burrows. Here's their tracks coming past there. Right past you. Right past you. Right across here. Right across here. And there's a very nice example of a cheetah track with a three very, very distinct ridges at the back, and then the claws on top. And then they just went out there to our left, and then they just curled into the bush over here. So they were like right at the Meerkat Burrows. And I just still can't believe that we missed that. Anyway, we enjoyed it. And so what a sunrise. The sun's going to be up literally in a couple of minutes. We've got quite a dense cloud bank there now. And I think over the coming hours, by this evening, there's probably going to be a lot more clouds over. Yeah. But in the meantime, I think Clive has the real thing for you. So head over that way and we'll carry on getting set up here.
All right, so there were some leopard tracks, but it was a cheetah. Have a look at this. This is a little cheetah walking through these grasslands here. Found a little bit of shade, and it's found a patch of much smaller grassland, shorter grassland, which is ideal for a cheetah not to get wet in the long grass like I was talking about just now. So this is really ideal habitat, and as you can see, this cheetah's making use of the nice early morning before it's too warm to hunt. And that is exactly what this cheetah is doing right now. He is on the hunt. Annette, I agree 100%. Cheetah are so cool. It's really one of the most beautiful cats, I think. And always so amazing to watch, especially when they're on the move like this. So he is on the hunt. We're giving him plenty distance. We're about 40 meters away or so, even 50 meters away. So we're giving him plenty distance here. You can see he's constantly putting his head left, scanning on the left. Oh, sorry, I pointed to the right, scanning on the right, and then he points to the left and scans that side. And out in these areas, we'd expect to see things like impala, maybe in these little thickets on the right here, maybe things like nyala. So there could be a lot of antelope around. They're out in the grasslands again. There could be herds of wildebeest or zebra, which a big adult zebra or wildebeest would probably be too big for him. But if there's any youngsters in a herd, that's what he'll be looking for. I seem to have given him a bit too much place, and now we've lost him. Adnam, you're exactly right. This is perfect habitat for a cheetah like this. There's a bit of cover from these trees, but there's still this open grassland which a cheetah will use to sprint up. You know, they'll use that speed they have to sprint up and catch whatever it is they're looking for. Okay, this cheetah's going to pop out on our right here. Look at that. You can see his belly is quite skinny as well, so he definitely hasn't eaten. Now what this is this is a young male cheetah. This is a young male cheetah that only about 6 months ago got separated from his mom. Unfortunately, in not a very nice way either. His mother was killed by a pride of lions. And up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we actually thought this cheetah was dead. We thought because his mother had been killed, maybe he had been killed as well, and we didn't see him for months and months. But about 3 weeks ago, we found him and correctly identified him for the first time. And it's so nice that he's moved back to this kind of area where we are able to follow him and follow through his life. So at a young age like this, he's still a little bit maybe not so good at hunting just yet, so he's got to take every opportunity. Megan, it's very sad, I agree. Sorry, Marcel says this cheetah's just there. Listen to that, listen. That's crazy. I don't know if you can hear that high-pitched little, like, it sounds like a bird tweeting almost. It's a very high-pitched noise. So this cheetah's actually calling for another cheetah, which is a bit strange, since he's never with anyone, so I don't particularly know who he's calling for. There was a female cheetah in this kind of area as well yesterday morning. So I wonder if he hasn't picked up her scent, maybe? And maybe he's calling for her. That's the only thing I can think of anyway. Look at this. Look how those colours just blend into the grass. This is amazing. So he's just scanning into each of these thickets, seeing if there's any nyala, and then keeping his eyes out onto the left as well. But hopefully for him, he is able to find something to eat soon, because he's looking very skinny and very hungry. But a cheetah like this can go for many, many days without food if they have to. Even weeks if they have to, especially when they're young like this. It tends to happen. Chris, you're right. It is strange that he's making that noise while he's hunting, because he obviously doesn't want to attract any attention to himself. Rather stay quiet to try and find something to hunt. But I'm sure you heard that noise, and it's a very high-pitched little noise, and as I said, it sounds like a bird. So maybe it actually doesn't attract as much attention as we think. You know, maybe other animals think, oh no, it's just a bird, so nothing to worry about. Look at him, there he is in the grass again. Let's just get an angle there. He's very, very alert though, look at that. Yeah, so we obviously... Let's try again to see if Rowan at and Beyond Ngala has come right. We're going to carry on following this cheetah though and see where he ends up.
Yet to come right with our big cat, but we are coming up to the watering hole now. A lot of hyena tracks, but going the opposite direction. Quite cool to have a chirpy cheetah in the morning. Just chirping for no reason, it often happens. OD is quite chirpy this morning as well. Shrimp or Sean is not chirpy at all. Definitely not a morning person. Anyway, so we are very close to this watering hole. Just up to the right. See what the hippos are up to, what they're doing. Hopefully a lion on the water's edge. But I don't want to get my hopes up too much. We have now definitely left that warm pocket where we were earlier. It's gotten a lot colder since we came back towards the water and actually closer to the river. Yeah. OD says we are at the deep end of the pool now where no one swims. Notice that was OD's joke, not mine. So all the kiddies can go ew to OD now. Emma says it's an awful comparison. Emma, you'll never forget about it. Okay, so here's the water, fingers crossed. Moment of truth. What are we going to find? Build up the suspense a little bit, drive a little bit slower. Actually, I'm driving slow because it's a very rocky area. Not to build up the suspense, but please. Oh, there's a lot of hippos, which is quite nice. Yes, it's dried up a lot since the last time I was here. Okay, I can't see a lion yet, but we're just taking a quick glimpse. Now we'll focus on the hippos and I will do a scan with the binoculars. It's actually scary how much this has dried up in a week. Okay, so while we have a look around this watering hole, we're going to send you back over to Clive and the chirpy cheetah.
Like this, but it's really special to see anyway. Oh, big yawn. Look at that, he's literally just sitting in one spot and calling. Very weird. I have seen it with other cheetah when either a mother loses a cub or a young one loses its mother or something, that they do call for them even quite a while after they are dead or separated or whatever. But I mean, this was like, even maybe more than 6 months ago that this one's mother died, so it can't still be calling for her, surely. Very strange. One of the best ways to tell that it's a young cheetah, if you look behind its neck, you can see there's still quite a lot of like extra fluff almost behind its neck. And for those of you who saw us about a week ago now, we had some very, very small little cheetah cubs far away from here, but that's what we found. And those cheetah cubs were just big balls of fur. So just that extra fur just stays, even though they start growing up like this one. He must be in the region of about 2 years now. and he's still got a bit of that fluff on his neck. I'm just going to move a little bit around that side so we can get a clear view of his face. Oh, and he's up again. Chronically K, you're asking if we couldn't see the cheetah, how would you know it's not a bird? It is just a bit of a different call. So even if we couldn't see the cheetah and I heard that, I think I would know it was a cheetah. But it does sound, there's no bird that sounds just like that. But it's still got that bird-like kind of sound, like a high-pitched cheep. Oh, he's found a nice little patch to lie in there. Could just be keeping a lookout again, as I say, for anything moving in these trees. And the sun is just slowly getting onto his face there, which is really beautiful. If he looks directly at us and at the camera, you might see like a beautiful golden brown color in his eyes when he does look this way. If the sun is just hitting his eyes like that. You can imagine if you drive past here now, not that there's even a road too close to here, but if you drive past now, there's absolutely no way you would see this cheetah. He is so well hidden in this grass. It's really amazing. Kelly, that's a very good question, actually. You're asking if you'd need to find a coalition to be able to survive? No. Male cheetahs can do very well even by themselves. Females are always solitary, so they are able to hunt for themselves, and males are exactly the same. If he didn't... So it's quite an interesting story, actually, with this one. He had 3 other siblings. So his mom, when she gave birth, there were 4 of them. And when they were about 6 months old or so, a pride of lions got hold of them one night and they killed 3 of the cubs. We think. We never found them, but we can only imagine it was lions because there were lions quite close to there. And he was the only surviving cub of that litter. So he's done really well to get up to this age. But in those, if all 4 of those cubs had survived, there could have been other males, brothers of his, and then they would have stayed as a coalition now. So now there would have been 2, or maybe if there were 3 of them, there would have been 3 males together. But because he was by himself, he was the last surviving cub, it's just him. There's not too many reports of cheetah forming coalitions when they're really older, although it does happen every now and then. But I think he'll probably be by himself for the rest of his life. Oh, there he's up again. Look at that beautiful color in the sun. They really are such amazing animals. Pretty Canadian, you're asking if that sound he's making will attract the attention of other cheetah. It definitely will. If other cheetah hear it, it will definitely attract their attention. I don't think he's hoping to attract any territorial males. This is part of a territory of 2 big dominant males down here on this side of the reserve. But they have such a big territory, the chances of them being around here is quite slim. But no, he definitely wouldn't want that. But he must be calling, maybe, I think it's because of that female that was around here yesterday. Maybe he's picked up her scent and he's calling for her, trying to get her to to come out. But I'm not sure where she is at the moment. Wow, he's gone down in some pretty long grass there. I think I'm going to move back just slightly And let's see if we can find a little gap where we can see him again. But I think he was feeling a bit cold in the shadows of this tree, so he moved out into the sun a little bit. There we go. I think you should have a gap through there, huh, Marcel? All right, for now, while we sit with this cheetah and hope that he gets up again and starts moving around, we're going to send you across to Dylan at Tswalu.
So one of the meerkats just popped out the burrow, had a very brief look around, and went straight down again. So I think it's not going to be too much longer before they actually come out properly. For the first time in 2 weeks, I just want to mention this, that we were right about which burrow they're going to come out of. They've baffled us for the past 2 weeks. Every single day they've come out of a different one. This was the first time that we've actually got it right. But yeah, they're going to be coming out very, very soon. The presence of these cheetah having been here won't affect these meerkats in any way whatsoever. I don't think I'd be very surprised if there had any kind of concern about them. Meerkats definitely do not feature on cheetah diet. Again, we were actually chatting about that with the lions yesterday. It wouldn't, I wouldn't put it past it if a cheetah encountered a meerkat completely out in the open, exposed, it couldn't get to a bolt hole. Well, yes, then they might catch it. The hare that we saw, or that those of you with us when we saw the cheetah catch that hare, exactly that kind of scenario. And if they came across a meerkat and the thing couldn't get to a bolt hole, then they might catch it, but it certainly doesn't feature as any kind of prominent food item for them. So I don't think there'll be any concerns for these guys coming out. We have asked one of the tracking teams if they can try follow up on those cheetah in the meantime. So we're just going to hold thumbs and see if they have any joy with that. Chandra and I are dreading this cold weather coming in. Today is absolutely gorgeous. It's mild. There's a super gentle breeze, but you've seen there are some clouds around. So we're just waiting to see what happens during the coming evening. It is going to be the clouds or the calm before the storm. I think this is... but it'll be fun to go out tomorrow morning and just see, this kind of weather is part and parcel of what we have here, eh? And we'll just dress up all warmly. Jandre will have his pajamas on, I'm sure. There's one, he's out. The meerkat's just come out. Just popped out now. That's good timing of her. This looks like Musadi, the alpha female. And there you go. You may have noticed how she looked straight up. So remember, their vigilance is not just focused towards land-based threats. Caracal, leopard, jackal, badgers, any snakes, anything like that. But very, very, very importantly, also aerial attack. You see how it keeps looking up every now and again? That's just keeping an eye on the sky, checking out that there's no birds of prey flying around. At this time of the morning, it's unlikely, but a hungry eagle will take a chance. And also, you must, as well as these meerkats know their territories or their home ranges, and they'll know where all the bolt holes are, you'll get an eagle that'll be resident in an area like this, obviously covering much larger areas. But if it's resident within this area, it'll also know where all the little meerkat colonies are and who's where and that. So, if that thing's hungry enough, so, well, okay, I know those meerkats are down in those burrows over there every afternoon, every morning. If I sit on a tree 200, 300 meters away, maybe there's a chance I can swoop in and grab one, as they're coming out in the morning. So there's a very, very good reason for these meerkats being so vigilant. Sounds like Rowan at and beyond Ngala has some buffalo. So head over that side and see how it goes.
Hello, buffalo. Right, so this is where we've gotten with our lion search, and it's actually quite nice because we heard these buffalo before we actually saw them. And often what lions do is they'll follow buffalo. Not saying that the pride is following this buffalo, because they were a little bit south from where we thought the pride might pop out at the watering hole. However, this herd of buffalo, I can tell you now, is moving towards that watering hole. So give them maybe about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and they'll pop out there. Should be quite fun to watch. But quite a large herd from the sounds of it. Just keep hearing more and more further off into the distance. A lot of babies, there's even some pregnant ones. I like listening to buffalo move through the bush. They are very noisy. And of course you can hear all the oxpeckers. Always gives them away quite quickly as well. Emma's saying it's especially nice now in winter time in the dry grass. It's just amazing whenever they cross roads, you must see the dust cloud they create. So it's now getting to the back end of the herd, the tail end. We're going to wait for some of them to move through and then try and maneuver our way out of here. There's a cow here coming with only one horn. This one's stopping for pose. Always when you think the herd is done, there's always one more, or one more, and one more. They're in good condition, good neck. I'd say we haven't seen one with a big sore or cyst, or any of them looking very skinny at all. Especially, oh, see, that one's very pregnant, the one with the one horn. The belly's hanging quite low. And now, if anyone's wondering, I have never seen a buffalo give birth. Actually, I've only ever seen an impala give birth. The majority of animals are very, very secretive about it. I do think that was the last one. There's a little oxpecker flying towards us. Jolta asking what are the biggest predators of buffalo. Jolta, between lions and hyenas, really. So, I know lions are really the apex predators around here, but anything that a lion can kill, basically a hyena can kill as well. Jolta, they are phenomenal hunters. I know that awesome documentary known as The Lion King has given them a terrible reputation. And a lot of people only know hyenas to be scavengers, but I can tell you now that they are incredible hunters, really, really good. Just holding my hand out, I might get smacked by a branch in the face. There we go, found some of the buffalo again. See, steadily mobile or going in a northeasterly direction. I am really hoping they're going towards that watering hole. Be fun to go watch them a little bit later, pop out there. But yeah, Jolta, here it's mostly lions and hyena that kill buffalo. Saying that, very, very strong animals, especially now. We had a good rainy season, so a lot of water and a lot of very nutritious grass for the buffalo to eat. So all the buffalo are quite strong. You can imagine, I mean, one of those big males weighs about 950 kilograms, nearly a ton, and it's just muscle and aggression. The female is a little bit lighter, about 850 to 900 kilograms. Okay, now we need to figure out a way around. Let's go to the left. Don't want to kill us with trees swinging back. Okay, it seems like Clive's cheetah has settled down, so while we try find this buffalo again without killing anyone, going to send you back over to him and be on Pinda.
And we're still sitting here with this cheetah. He hasn't moved again, but he's just starting to groom himself. As you can see, he's yawned once or twice, so you have to keep a good lookout for that. You'll see his sharp little canine teeth when he does yawn. But these are all good signs that he might get up and start moving again. And as I said, especially now while it's still cool, it's really the perfect time for him to be hunting. But it's also important at this time of the morning to warm up in the sun, warm up the muscles a little bit. But we really are just in a perfect little spot here now. Oh, and back down. You see how he's chosen a nice open spot here to be able to lie down and rest. And it's such a great spot for him because he's still able to see all around himself to be able to make sure there's no other predators around. Seems to be staring quite intently in one direction there. I don't know what. Hello, Bill. No, cheetahs don't have a mating call. That's just what we call a contact call, that chirping sound. So it was trying to find another cheetah, which, as I said, I guess was that young female that was seen around this area yesterday. But no, there's no certain call for mating or anything like that. They'll find each other with this contact call or by scent. You know, if the female urinates, he'll be able to smell it and vice versa. And that's often how they find each other. And obviously with sight. If he sees a cheetah moving around, he's going to go closer to investigate. Unless he can see it's a big dominant male, in which case he might not want to be seen. So cheetahs don't want to make a lot of noise because they're the smallest of the predators. They don't want to attract attention to themselves, which is why they've got that soft little like bird chirping call. There's some baboons alarming far away, maybe up in the mountains. Maybe that's why he was looking in that direction just now. See, he never puts his head down and really sleeps. He's constantly watching around him, making sure there's nothing walking towards him. Kelly, I'm glad you find them so adorable. I do too. They really are probably my favorite animal. Really one of my favorite animals to watch, especially while they're moving as well.
Their eyes are truly magnificent.
And as Marcel says, their eyes are really incredible too. That, as I said, that beautiful, rich, golden brown color. I think from this angle you can really see that extra fluff on the back of the neck that I was talking about just now. Just on the side we are now with the sun, I think you can see it really nicely. And as he gets older, that fur is slowly going to disappear. But I was having a good look just now while he looks at you like this. Male cheetah tend to have a really big, wide, strong head as they get older, and he's still good. His head is still very small. It's probably the size of a female's for now. So he's still got lots of growing to do before he is able to be strong enough. For now, we're going to send you over to Dylan at Tswalu with some meerkats.
So we've been seeing some really nice interaction going on here. Lots of grooming, and then also a ant-eating chat has made an appearance, a southern ant-eating chat, and this little bird seems to be rocking up every single morning. When these meerkats are out like this, they've just come out, they're starting to groom, and they might do a little bit of burrow maintenance now as well. Then this ant-eating chat appears, and I think he's just really hoping that they unearth a little worm or two. But they don't seem to be that intent on digging just yet. Chandra and I just chuckled yesterday. We, in between these segments, one of them dug something up and gobbled it up so fast, and we kind of assumed, it was a caterpillar or something. And then he showed me the footage last night, and it was actually a scorpion that this little guy had unearthed right at the burrows here. And but it happened so fast that neither of us actually twigged onto it. And I think this is a big difference in terms, or one of the reasons why they don't seem to be like that hasty to leave these burrows every morning, aside from the original or initial concerns about that badger being around. But I think the food resources in this area just seem to be better than up at that other burrow system that they were at. Meerkat habituator Rebecca has been doing an amazing job keeping track of all these animals. She says that this little group, Morsadi, the Khosa group, the ones we're looking at now, they actually went back up to that island burrow system where she'd initially had the pups, and the badger incident took place, and she was sniffing around there a lot, and then they left there straight away and they came back down there. So I'm pretty sure, Chandra, and we've discussed it, but we're pretty sure that those pups are no more. Unfortunately, I was going to wait until the end of the week to try and see maybe they make some kind of appearance, but it doesn't seem like it's the case. So I think these four are the surviving members of this colony. Thelma's asked a really fun question there. Will the alpha female always be the first one out the burrow? Not normally. Not necessarily, sorry. It can be any one of them. And I guess it just depends, which one of these is maybe closest to the burrow entrance or is up and about. As a tendency, what we've seen with this group over the past 2 weeks is that it's likely to be the alpha female, but not necessarily the alpha female. So, again, that leads on to a question that one of you asked the other day about, which ones are the ones out of the young males, your sub-adult females, who does the sentry duties and babysitting duties, and how do they rotate? I'm really not sure how they choose exactly which individual does those kind of tasks. But in terms of the the same would hold true for the meerkats coming out the burrow in the morning. I think it's probably fairly random, but I'll stand 100% correction on that. So we just got tracker teams calling us, but we'll respond to that just now. Not to worry. Well, these meerkats are absolutely going to be enjoying soaking up the sun this morning, because I think it's going to be the last decently warm morning for the next, the next 5 days, 6 days before it starts warming up again. So this is I think the final bit of good temperature. Then temperatures are going to drop until for the next week. But in the meantime, head over to Clive and see what he's got on that side.
So got up and he walked about and lay back down. Just going to try and get a clear view here. He's lying just off on our right-hand side. Sorry about that. We apparently had a quick little signal breakdown there. But have a look. Now lying just like nodding off, his head starts dropping. It always amazes me how a cheetah that's very skinny and hungry will take so much time resting, especially in the prime hunting hours, which is a nice cool morning like this. But I guess with it being winter, the sun doesn't get too hot during the day. I think are in the region of about 70 or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm not mistaken, which is mid-20s for us. And so probably the whole day today will be actually fine for him to be moving around and hunting. Rosemary, that's a great comment about the teardrops. I agree. It's so nice to be able to see a cheetah close and in the open like this, where you are able to see all the beautiful little spots and those teardrop marks coming down from the eyes. And it's nice to compare these spots to some of the leopards that you've seen on these live game drives. Where a leopard has got like a black outer lining and with a rufous color in the middle as its spot. This is a plain black spot on a cheetah. So it's probably the biggest difference. But look at that, his eyes are tight shut now. And even though he's resting, I'm sure you've seen how lions, they lie flat down with their head on the ground, but this cheetah keeps his head up. While we sit with this lazy cheetah and see if he gets up, we're going to send you across to Rowan at Ngala. He's got a buffalo crossing the road.
So we've actually nearly changed our entire plan for the morning. Just with finding those herd of buffalo, we thought, it would actually be a lot of fun if we just stick with them until they get to the watering hole. So luckily with them, they make a lot of noise when they move through. So we were trying to get into this little riverbed and see where they cross. So we just kind of judged the direction in which they were walking, making their way towards this watering hole, and we just decided, okay, sit here. So we've been sitting here for about 5 minutes, and we just started hearing them, and as you can see, the first ones actually popped out. A lot of them are actually a little bit further on the ridge, walking in more of a steep bank, so it's quite odd that they wouldn't just cross here. As you can see, this female was thinking about crossing here. Then she gives us the stink eye every now and then. Dirty look, like we owe her money. So she's also forgotten to chew the rest of her food. About 3 or 4 blades of grass hanging from her lips. Very interesting facial expressions, buffalo. Do like the horns though, like those Victorian age judges. See with her, the reason why we know it's a female, very thin horns, not really too big, and not the big helmet structure on top of the head. Sounds like a herd of cows coming through. You just hear moo every now and then. Emma's saying she's saving the piece of grass for later. Bit of takeaway. That was a good piece of grass. Charlotte, you're quite right. Buffalo and hippo are really the two animals that suffer a lot during dry times. Hippo, because a lot of the water disappear in buffalo because they eat so much grass and drink so much water. And you can compare it, sorry, I'm going into a poo conversation now, but if you look at a buffalo poo, it's a lot like a cow's poo. So they do, oh, she doesn't really know where to go now. Does she go back? Does she come towards us? So they need to drink a lot of water. You can see the poo when it comes out, it droops down a lot. So very, 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 I'm going to go a little bit forward, very dependent on water, such as hippos as well. So in 2016, with the very bad drought, I think about 50% of the buffaloes in this area died. You can see now the rest of the herd still up here, slowly making their way. So we just sit here and wait for them to come back. She still has the blades of grass hanging down. It's a nice bit of a grey spot there on her side. I wonder, it might just be bird poo. Seems to be an old wound that's healed up. The white bit on her side, also another white dot on her neck. But I must say, I mean, all these buffalo seem to be in very, very, very good condition. You can see with this female, her ribs aren't showing at all. All of them look very well fed. It's amazing. But Charlotte, you are right. Buffalo are one of the first animals to suffer during dry times. I know in 2016, there were actually stages where we were watching packs of wild dogs hunt and kill buffalo, which was a first for me. They usually wouldn't go for something so big. I think all of us had this big picture in our mind where we would come to this riverbed and then it was just going to be buffalo after buffalo after buffalo crossing. But like the Great Migration, and now it seems they've all settled on the southern side. Emma saying we sold some dreams here. False hope. It is going to happen. I mean, definitely they are making their way to the watering hole, but it might take a very long while. Actually, they might start crossing behind us. Let's see. So as of yet, we haven't been able to determine how big this buffalo herd is. Where they're moving through, it's quite thick. Okay. Oh, very small baby coming through. You can see very lightish brown compared to the darker mom. Anyway, while we wait patiently for these buffalo to start entering the riverbed, we're going to send you back over to Clive on and Beyond Phinda.
Well, Rowan, I'm definitely enjoying this cheetah at the moment. We are getting some serious quality time with him, which is amazing. As you can see, he hasn't moved again. Just resting in the same spot and closing his eyes and getting a good little, I suppose it's a perfect time to use the word cat nap. But it's so special just to spend, I mean, we've already been here 40 minutes, I think. And I don't think we're going to go anywhere else. We're going to stay with this cheetah, and it's so amazing to actually spend a few hours of time with him, and learning what he does in that time. And maybe even this afternoon we're going to come back and do exactly the same, so we can really get into this cheetah's life. You can see the only movement coming from him is just the flicking of the ears, trying to get rid of those little flies. Dizzy, that's another very good question. Leopard and cheetah do fight, yes. They, even though cheetah is probably slightly taller, they don't weigh as much and they're not as strong as a leopard. So normally a leopard will come out on top. And that is one of the reasons why this cheetah's sleeping with his head up like this. He's not putting it down because he's just got to be aware of everything that's going on around him. But yes, cheetah will try and stay away from leopard. Luckily, with leopard being more nocturnal, what does he see? Yeah, no. With leopard being more nocturnal, they don't often come into contact with each other, but it is very possible. Sorry, I thought he spotted something. He just lifted his head up quite quickly, but he's just having another scan around here. Dizzy, I've actually seen before. We were following a cheetah with 3 quite old cubs, and from behind a leopard came and saw the cheetah and chased, and it managed to separate one of the youngsters, and it chased that one, and then the mother cheetah chased the leopard, and the leopard ran up a tree, then the leopard came back down the tree and chased the cheetah. So it was a bit of chaos that morning, but probably because it was quite a young female leopard, they were relatively evenly matched. But with a big male leopard, a cheetah wouldn't stand a chance. Now it's always, when people come on safari, this is like almost the ultimate prize is seeing a cheetah, for me anyway. I absolutely love these animals. And for those of you who've been to, I suppose, anywhere in Africa on safari, let us know if you've seen cheetah and maybe how many you've seen together, and if they were hunting or sleeping. It's always nice to hear other people's stories as well. It really looks like he's battling to keep his eyes open, doesn't it? It's like us humans after a big meal or something, and you're trying your best to keep your eyes open. A big family meal. So with the sun starting to warm up, I'm starting to get a bit hot here in the sun. Maybe it is a better spot for him being in the shade. Maybe it's actually nice and cool for him to be in the shade there. So maybe he's chosen well. There must be a reason for it. Guys, while we sit with this cheetah, waiting for him to hopefully get up, we're going to send you across to Steve and see if he's managed to find anything yet.
Thanks, Clive. Well, I found female tracks eventually on the road I said earlier that I wanted to check. And I just walked now, or should I say just now, in proper South African, and I, for the life of me, heard something growl. But we're now trying to relocate. If it was Mawati, he would have run, but it's a female's tracks. Thought it was in this bush, and then we drove in that bush, and what did we find? We found some very relaxed looking francolins. Very relaxed looking francolins. Susan, yes, it's a wonderful feeling when you hear your body actually, everyone's like, what do you do if a lion or a leopard growls at you? Well, you automatically stop without even thinking about it. Now, I don't think it was my stomach. Almost certain it wasn't my stomach. And the best thing to do is to start walking backwards. We got one of these very relaxed francolins I was talking about. Well, if you can't get that one, there's another one in the bushes on the left, about to come out here, BK. Now, they're very relaxed. Almost 100% certain I heard something give me a warning. Might be on the left-hand side of the road. It's one of these francolin. Oh, where'd he go, BK? He's there on the left. There we go. He's These guys make a very characteristic sound when they see a leopard. They do seem rather chilled, so I think maybe it was on the other side of the road. I do pull this earpiece out when I'm on foot, but it's still close to the ear, and it gives me a bit of a directional issue. We found fresh tracks of a female leopard coming on Western Quarantine all the way around onto Fullerman's cut line, went in and investigated Tundi's kill, or at least went in and had a sniff. Whether it was Tundi or not, is difficult for me to say. The last tracks were coming straight down over here. Let's just go around the corner here. Eddie Spaghetti, I suppose they are. I mean, Franklins are like very close to partridges and guinea fowls. They're part of the galliform family. I think quails are slightly different, but not far off. You know, they're more similarly related than any of the other birds, the nesting birds in the trees. So ground, let's just have a little peek in their beak, eh? Far better than my face, I'd say, hey? Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. Okay, very good. Well, Rowan has found animals. He's not searching. Let's send you back over to him.
Steve is looking for his growler. Very good luck. I actually love that sound. It's always like you feel so successful when something growls at you through the bush. It's a little bit scary, a little bit disconcerting, but then you know you've found what you're looking for. So far, nothing's growled at us yet. We are now... So we've been waiting for the buffalo to cross into the river, which they have in front of us and behind us. So we're pretty much in the middle of all the animals crossing. But what they've done, they've slowed down a lot because the grass growing on either side of this little riverbed is very nutritious. As you can imagine, there's still water just below the sand here, so just on the banks would be very, very nice, sweetish grass. So they've slowed down a bit. So now it's going to take them even longer to get to the watering hole. But you can see further along, some of them are still quite mobile, going north towards the water. So we are just going to wait here in the middle of this buffalo herd and wait for them to go. That's quite nice. I'm going to keep quiet just for a while. You can hear all the buffalo moving around us, all the rustling in the grass, mooing every now and moaning. I find it rather peaceful. I just think that it'd be so nice to hang like a hammock high in a tree and sleep above a herd of buffalo while they walk and feed through the grass. Don't know why. Always wanted to do that. You can see buffalo of all ages coming through. Very small youngsters, teenagers, moms, dads. Actually, every sex, every age is here. Nice big herd. That's why we want to follow them to the watering hole, is to see actually how many there are. Some of them have very, very nice horns. Got an older female with a baby just to the left of us. Not too far. Dizzy asking if I've ever experienced a buffalo stampede. Dizzy, yeah, a little bit. When what happened was we had a pride of lions, actually the squirrel pride. they went in hunting into a herd of buffalo, and luckily the vehicle was big enough and the buffalo would run past us, which are quite scary. It's very noisy, and I think probably the scariest thing that could happen to you then or there is to be on foot, because these buffalo would just run straight over you. And back in those days, that was in 2015, we had herds of about 1,400, 1,300 coming on to Anbianingala. And ever since the drought in 2016, the herds have slimmed out quite a bit. Although I must say this year we've been seeing way more big herds of buffalo than last year and the year before. It's quite nice. We definitely need it. We definitely need it, because as you can imagine, this amount of animals walking through the bush, they loosen the soil a lot, they poo a lot, which is great fertilizer, and then they get rid of the excess fuel, so the grass, quite a bit. So it's very, very, very good for the environment, having these herds of buffalo move through. We definitely need it. Imagine with this amount of grass around, especially drying up like this, it's a huge fire hazard. Luckily now with big herds of buffalo, they eat a lot of it. Like I said earlier, there's just more and more and more and more coming through. One of the youngsters. Okay. So while we are just relaxing here, waiting for the buffalo to cross, we're going to send you to Clive, who's also just relaxing with his cheetah.
Welcome back again. And this cheetah still is sitting in the same spot. As you can see, the shadow is creeping further and further away from him, and he's getting further and further into the sun and probably warming up again. But still very much resting. His eyes are closed, looking around every now and then. But he's curled up almost like a house cat, eh? He's got his tail tucked right in. He's got his front legs tucked in as well. He's in like a little ball, just trying to keep warm. Now you can't really see it, but it's quite interesting the direction that this cheetah is lying. He's obviously facing in our direction here, but if you have a look at his ears, they're pinned quite far backwards. So we were talking just now about him being the smallest of the predators, and the others all being bigger and stronger than him, so he has to watch out for them. So what he's doing is he's facing this way because the wind is coming straight onto his back. So if a lion or leopard or hyena or something had to walk on the other side of him, on the far side of him, he would actually be able to smell it because the wind is coming that way. So he'd rather use his vision now to scan on our side and make sure there's no trouble coming from that way. And the same goes for not only other predators, but for prey as well. You know, if there's an impala or a herd of impala or something, he'll be able to smell them on that far side, or he'll be able to see them on this side. Very interesting. He doesn't just lie down just for the sake of it. But it still doesn't look like much is going to keep him awake.
That head is fishing.
Yeah. You can see the head is just slowly dropping forward. But it's really amazing what these cheetah have to go through in their lives, and and all the things that they have to endure to be able to survive. So I guess it really makes sure that only the strongest of the cheetah are able to survive. For those of you who maybe weren't watching the beginning when we first found this cheetah, I was telling everyone how this cheetah, when he was about maybe just less than a year and a half old, him and his mother were walking around, and they actually got chased by a pride of lions, and the lions killed his mother. That's normally around about the time when he would go off by himself anyway, so he was technically almost ready to go off by himself, in which case he did, but from our side we actually thought he had somehow died as well, because we didn't see him for a long time. Yeah, we didn't see him for a very long time, but eventually a few weeks ago he popped up again, which was really, really special for us. But for now we're going to leave this single cheetah, or we'll stay, but we're going to send you across to Taylor, who's got lots of elephants.
Bless you, Cheetah. It's never nice to sneeze. I know I don't particularly enjoy it. We're with a little herd of elephants, though. It seems like it's just the boys again. There's about 5 or 6 bachelors or bachelor members that have been wandering around and kind of do the same little circuit. So I'm sure we'll see them down at Ndlovu Dam at the eco training camp a little bit later. But we heard the reason how we found them is we actually just heard them. I was off the car trying to follow up on a female leopard and cub. So that's exciting. So we know she's around here. But alas, it wasn't successful. Ah, there's our friend, Kumo. Hi, boy. If you don't know who Kumo is, he's the big elephant on the right. And as he's just coming through chasing the younger bulls, we know that it is this fella because he's wearing a collar, which is very exciting. So hopefully we'll be able to figure out all the collared Ellie bulls in this area from Elephants Alive and figure out who they are. Apparently there's a few that we should see. But we see this guy every single day. So he's still got his group of boys that have been following him around. I think more of a nuisance than anything. But there he is again. Classic Kumo, stretching up and breaking the tallest of branches. I suppose when you're his height, why not? Instead of just feeding down on the stuff that everybody can reach. He always stretches right on up and breaks huge branches. And see what he does now. Sorry, there's quite a bit of obstruction here with all the vegetation. But in no time, we should see him again. You can see how the younger bull also just steps away as soon as he sort of shows his dominance and that he wants to feed on that tree now. He just moves away. He's polite. He knows that there's no ways you can challenge a big elephant bull like that. There's no point. And Kumo is also going to keep them all in line. So this is actually very good. They're going to learn great manners from a big elephant like that. Andrea, I concur, he is a gorgeous boy, and he's got such a lovely temperament too. Kat, shall I try go further forward a bit and see if we can't shoot him through this, what is this dead tree? Knobthorn. We'll try and film him from this side. Hello, boy. Oh, he's stepping out. Yes, it's us. I know, hang on. Now there's a flaky bark acacia coming out to say hello. So it's very difficult. Is that too much of an angle? Well, I wrecked that. Okay, let me do a maneuver. Let me turn around. How about that? Just going to quickly turn around, then we'll go back that way. This looks like a spot. Yeah, sorry everyone. I didn't really think that through. I hope that he does come out onto the road because there's such a spectacular view of the Drakensberg mountain from here. It'd be really nice to have a big elephant with the mountains in the background. We're all about the scenery. Okay, this is going to be much better. I should have done this in the beginning. I promise this is not my first safari. I don't know what's happening today. Between yesterday's stage fright and this morning's really pathetic parking. There we go. Much better. Hey, Kat, is that a bit easier? Sorry. Sometimes I like to make it difficult for whoever's filming. There we go. Now you can see him quite nicely. I really love that sound of them moving through the dry grass. This has to be my favorite time of the year. It's not quite when everything is completely dried up, but when there's still some height to the grass, there's still lots of vegetation around. It was wonderful. So you might remember the two elephants on the left-hand side. They were the ones, there was a third one, and they were pushing and shoving one another around just a few afternoons ago. And I'm sure that they'll be curious and come up to us again. Kumo, mind your way. Yes. Again, he's very relaxed. Now you're going to walk on that side. Thank you. I thought he was going to come on the pathway straight towards us, and then I'd have to reposition for the third time this morning. No, he's going to hide over there. And in case you were wondering about his wound on his face, it is healing up nicely. Hopefully we'll get another look at him where we have a clear view, and we can check it out. But I think it was just a tusk that has done something like that. He's just shaking all the sand off of the grass that he's just pulled out. See, elephants are very clever. They don't want to eat the terrible, gritty vegetation. So when they do pull out the grass, it's sort of got some green color to it. And so he stuck his trunk underneath a, what is this tree? It looks like a velvet leaf corkwood of sorts. Maybe. No, it's got thorns on. I don't know what it is. It's got no leaves on at the moment. Anyways, he's grabbed a bunch of grass, shook off all the sand, and I think he's just going to keep doing that. We see lots of different animals doing this at this time of the year. Buffalo will push branches away. Zebra as well, notorious for sticking their heads under shrubs. And they know that that's the last of the green grass. And elephants prefer to eat grass whenever they can. Sort of their main part of their diet, but you have to be quite flexible in your diet when you live in the Greater Kruger. There's not always grass around during the winter months, so it doesn't taste very nice. Andre, yes, so these younger bulls will tail a big bull like Kumo or another elephant, and he will keep them in line. So, I mean, a couple of times, and we saw it this morning, where he just took a step towards the younger bull and sort of just showed him and said, right, I'm bigger than you. I'm going to eat on this tree now. You can move away. And then he does. He goes, okay. He doesn't really put up a fight, because if he does put up a fight, all that's going to happen is that Kumo is going to literally use his sheer size, and he's going to get a bit of a hiding. And sometimes that happens. I mean, you see it in breeding herds where the elephant cows get annoyed with the younger bulls as they become quite boisterous, and they reprimand them regularly, whether they charge towards them with their ears open and make a trumpeting sound. Once there was a sighting where a cow actually pinned a young bull on the floor and was basically saying, right, whatever you did, don't do that again. So the bulls will do very much the same thing. But it doesn't last for very long. And then once the young bulls realize their place, when they hang around a larger bull like this, then all is well. Then they push and shove with one another, and they just leave this big guy be. I think he might come out just now. He's just feeding on a bit of sickle bush. So we see lots of sickle bush in this area. It's an indigenous plant, but it's an encroaching species, so it sort of takes over. And not all animals like to eat it. Luckily, the elephants in this area, they don't mind it too much, so they help us by removing it. And sometimes you can create a big open plain just by removing all the sickle bush that grows through. It's quite a prevalent plant within this little sort of low-felt region. Thank you, big boy. But it's got some big spines on them. One that you don't want to drive over. I'm sure you've heard all the guides talking about that. It always just amazes me how those spines go straight through the big rubber tires that we have on the cars, yet he is able to just crunch straight through them. Sensitive mouth, but quite tough. I'm glad that you're all enjoying spending time with Kumo. I'm particularly fond of elephant bulls. I somehow, wherever I go, always manage to find one bull that I'll see regularly. And obviously Kumo is an easy individual to identify. But at some point he'll move on off. He'll get tired of the food here. He'll eat as much as he can. But he'll be back. So he'll just do like these little mini migrations. Now, I've never met Dylan before, but he sounds like such an interesting character. And he must be by far one of the most patient guides that Wild Earth has ever had. He's back waiting for the honey badger to come out.
So one of our remarkable tracking teams has just picked up a pair of honey badgers. We think it might even be a mother with a large cub or a small female with a male. We're not sure yet. So we're doing another stakeout. That burrow, you see where the bird is sitting there, Jandre? On the top over there, that little bit, it's a burrow down to the left. Those three, it's the one on the left-hand side there. Now go up a little bit and go right. That's the next burrow to the right. That one, there we go, that one, yeah. So there were 2 honey badgers that went down over there, and the way the guys picked them up is they actually saw a pale chanting goshawk, which is a bird of prey, following something. When they went to have a closer look, here were these 2 honey badgers, and that's a very, very well-known association. It's well documented. These goshawks follow honey badgers because they are incredibly good diggers, these badgers, and as they foraging, looking for rodents and scorpions, things like that, if rodents get away from them, then the goshawks will swoop in and try to grab them. So you frequently see those kind of associations happening. The goshawks and Tswalu, they also follow troops of baboons, because as baboons are foraging, then they're flushing all these little things that the goshawks can go for. So that was a lovely indication and brilliant for the trackers to see that association and actually pick up on that there's something going on here, and then they followed it in. So they I'm suspecting they've probably gone down for the day, but this really super cool weather that's coming in now, there's a breeze, it's not warm. It could even mean that they're just going to come out foraging a little bit later. Shataka, yeah, honey badgers will sleep in burrows. That's in the Kalahari, that's a normal thing. But in other areas where there's very rocky areas, even on Tswalu, in fact, those mountains in the distance that you can see out there, you can see the hills in the distance there. Honey badgers moving in those areas will often just sleep in amongst big boulders, clumps of dense bush as well. But out here in the dune areas, what we call the dune streets, the typical area that they'll sleep in during the day is down burrows. They are very, very capable of digging their own burrows, but out here there's so much aardvark activity and porcupine, warthogs, those kind of things, so they normally just take over whatever burrow they can find, and then they go down and sleep there. Many people think that badgers are strictly nocturnal, in other words coming out at night. It's not true. In areas where there's very little disturbance, they'll be active during the day or during the night, just depending on how hungry they are. So obviously if they've had a good meal, but we don't know what these badgers have caught. Well during the course of the evening, and now they're just going to rest up for the day. If they didn't, it could be that they've just gone out to rest a little bit, and then they'll come out a little bit later, and that's really what I'm hoping for. I know it's a long shot, but it is super, super, super cool seeing honey badgers anywhere. They cover a huge area. Their distribution is massive. I mean, literally from just outside Cape Town right across Africa, pretty much in most habitats. But wherever they found in very, very, very low densities. They cover massive areas. We know very little about their breeding biology. But being predators, actually they more, they are omnivores. They won't just go for meat, but their primary diet consists of protein. So, they are omnivores, but they're mostly carnivorous. But in terms of their breeding, they would actually have cubs. They're called cubs, just incidentally. They're not pups, they're cubs. They normally only have one youngster, and that can be every 18 months to 2 years. So they don't necessarily breed every single year. A cub will stay with its mom for 18 months to 2 years sometimes before moving off. So they breed very slowly, cover big areas. So we really want to, if we've got an opportunity of seeing these little guys, it's going to be really, really, really worthwhile trying to stick it out. So Jandre and I seem to be getting used to doing these like stakeouts for elusive creatures. But hopefully it pays off. It certainly has been paying off over the past week or so. So I think we're just going to keep doing that. And I just want to give a huge word of thanks to Jacob and Peter, our tracking teams. These guys are just absolutely brilliant on the ground. And it would be very, very difficult for us to be doing this without their help. So thanks big time to them. In the meantime, we're going to head back over to the Lowveld and see what exciting stuff's going on down there.
Well, I don't like to make promises that I can't keep, so here we go, the Drakensberg and Coolmore. So that's quite nice. He very kindly crossed the road, literally just meters from my vehicle. He was very lovely. He didn't even blink an eye at us. But he's very focused on feeding today. So yeah, so what we're looking at is Meerkats, eh? Is it? Yeah, sorry, I'm just asking Kat. I always like to double check. So the really high peak that you can see in the distance is Meerkats, which is, we've said it a number of different times. It is the highest point on this section of the Drakensberg Mountains. Isn't that beautiful? This is lovely. There's so many more spots that I want to show you that I'm trying to line up these, sort of gorgeous backdrops of the Drakensberg Mountains. Animals. Maybe we can try and get all the different animals. Giraffe shouldn't be too difficult. We'll definitely try that at some point. But unfortunately, our elephant friends are now moving into the distance. And Kumo is standing fairly still because he's just broken a branch off of the marula tree that he's standing underneath. So he's feeding on those leaves now. Still flapping his ears, trying to keep all the biting insects at bay. And goodness gracious, I think it's going to be a hot day because their insects are all out already. But very relaxed. I'm wondering if we shouldn't try and reposition to get our frame in front, because Nkumo is not facing us now. So I was... Oh, hello. Just answer the phone there. Right. Emma's back. I'm going to just stop up ahead and look at this boy. Please don't be scared of us, elephant. I just have to go a little bit further forward so Kat can actually see the elephant. Have you got a gap now? Okay, it's a little gap. He's also very relaxed with us. I love these boys. I really like spending lots of time with them. So I was reading an article, and I know you all send us wonderful things on Twitter, so thank you for that. There is some amazing information available on the internet, and often projects will post their findings. Like, obviously people are studying the elephants around in this area, which is why Kumo has a collar. And an interesting thing that I read was the distance that he was traveling between sort of the years of 2017 and 2018. So remember, the Greater Kruger is an enormous area. It's like 8.5 million acres of land. I mean, that's with the Kruger National Park, the Timbavati, Baluli, Kleseri, all these different private wilderness areas, the Sabi Sand, all of them that surround it. So it's a monster area, and these animals can roam anywhere within that. And it looked like Kumo during the dry season, he moved a bit. He moved almost 900 kilometers just between the dry periods, so our winter months. So I'm assuming they would maybe take that from April, because that's normally when dry season starts, maybe to August or September, somewhere around there, which is quite a lot. And then in summer, he moved almost 1,200 kilometers, which is crazy. I actually thought it would have been the other way around. I honestly thought that elephants would have moved more in dry season, looking for better food, but perhaps the movements were limited because there isn't as much water available. So they're sort of hanging around permanent water sources and then just feeding in and amongst that. And then obviously when rainy season around, there's water everywhere. All the rivers fill up nicely, all the dams and the wallows and all that, which is quite cool. So I'm going to see if I can't find out some more information about that and any newer stuff. Right, off you go back to Roan, and it seems as though his buffalo are on the way to a watering hole.
Finally arrived, and as I said earlier, it's just more and more and more and more coming. So now, with the herd this side coming down to drink, remember earlier I was mentioning how this watering hole has dried up so much already. You can imagine every adult here could potentially drink 23 litres. So the amount of water that's now going to go out of this watering hole is phenomenal. But every single one of them coming down for a drink. Some of them walking further in than others, but of course they don't need to worry. There are no crocodiles here, and the crocodiles on Anbion and Gala are definitely not the size of the crocodiles we get, in the Masai Mara, for instance. But it's so cool to watch them come down. Really very, very cool. I said earlier it was difficult to count them through the bushes because it was so thick. It's actually nice to sit here and just watch all of them come down. Quite loud as well as they walk through the water. So we always get this question why, when elephants come to drink at the And Beyond Ngala tented camp pool, and a lot of people always ask, is it chlorinated, isn't it dangerous for elephants? But take this for example, all these buffaloes standing in the water, what they'll do is they'll urinate and they'll poo literally in the water. So an elephant would much rather drink chlorinated water than this. It's just hippo poo, buffalo poo, waterbuck poo, pee from everything, quite dirty. Also, while you'll find elephant going into the riverbed to dig for water. So basically, yes, Emma, this is a public pool. Emma was wondering about the temperature of the water. Nice big herd. What do you think, Odie? 200 upwards?
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's still more coming. Owen's just been hoping for lions to hear the buffalo and come running in from the northern side. I'll sit here and wait for lions now. And the trucks were heading in this sort of direction. Like I said earlier, buffalo herd makes a lot of noise. So if there were lions in the area, they'll definitely hear this. Quite nice to see all the buffalo out in the open, how different some of their colours are. See very dark ones, reddish ones, then brownish ones, almost mustard coloured ones. Maybe I'm colourblind. Funny, the hippos aren't approaching them at all, they're just staying far away. Joe, we absolutely agree. Joe says it's always nice to have a pool party. It's my favourite party in the world, indeed. Quick drink and then they're off again. Weird, you can see majority of the ones at the back now moving off. Now, I mean, it's what they do all day long. Eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink. And then they'll sleep a little bit later. I think I'll probably head to a more of an open area. Okay, so sounds like Clive's Cheetah is up and going, so we're going to leave this herd of buffalo now and send you over to him on and beyond Pinder.
Well, from one amazing scene of lots and lots of buffaloes to another amazing scene of this cheetah now out in the open, sitting up on top of this little termite mound and in the sun. And you're right, Roni has been on the move. Sorry about that little technical issue. But as you can see, we've got this beautiful cheetah now out in the open on top of this termite mound. So from that beautiful sighting of all the buffalo just now to this. And you're 100% correct, Rowan. He has been on the move. He's walked probably about 200 meters or so from where he was lying in the shade about 20 minutes ago. And still, strangely enough, calling, making that soft bird chirping call again. But now he's settled down again. You'll often find cheetah in an open grassland like this, finding a termite mound or any little raised area, sometimes even dead, fallen over trees, to get a bit of a viewpoint and be able to scan around to see if there's anything around, especially when they're off on the hunt. There's also quite an interesting bird I want to show you quickly. Marcel's just going to bring the camera around to it. This is called a Burchell's Schuylkill. And it's sitting right up at the top of the tree there, exactly like the cheetah, just getting this early morning sun and warming up. Very pretty birds. You can see it's got quite a heavy bill, and it's quite pointed on the end. You might even see a bright red eye on this bird as well. But that little hooked beak means that it eats meat, and that is right. They hop around in thick bushes looking for birds' nests, trying to find little baby birds to eat, or lizards, or any insects it can find as well. Very adaptable, but anything meaty is what he's looking for. Oh, great. I hear it's a new bird for a lot of you. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, this is called a Burchell's Schuylkill. You do see them quite often, but they're often quite shy. They'll be in quite a thick bush and just hopping around from branch to branch, as I said, looking for birds' nests and things. But it's often in the early morning and probably the late afternoon as well. I haven't really noticed it, but the early morning anyway, that these birds are sitting up in the trees and just catching that beautiful morning light.
I used to have a breeding pair in my garden.
Oh, Marcel says he used to have a breeding pair in his garden. That's very interesting.
Till the neighbor's cat ate one.
Hello, Byron. So actually quite the opposite. These are the only cats that have non-retractable claws. Leopard and lion and all your other cat species, the African wild cats and things, caracal, serval, all retract their claws in. But with cheetah, it's just an evolutionary thing for them to be able to get up to those amazing speeds that they use to catch prey. They have non-retractable claws. So just going to see, Marcel, if you zoom in right on those front feet, you might even be able to see them. I can definitely see with binoculars. Can you see it? Okay, so you can actually just see the claws sticking out there. Whereas if you look at a lion or a leopard's foot, you won't see those claws at all. Yeah, so you can just see those claws. They're very big claws, but they're not sharp like a lion or a leopard. Because they're out all the time, obviously they're constantly getting rubbed on the ground, which makes them blunter. But they are still very hooked, which gives them amazing grip when they're turning those sharp corners when they're chasing, let's say, an impala, for instance. So it's just another one of their little adaptations for how they hunt, being obviously out in the open and relying on that speed. But I find with cheetah especially, you look at them and you can see they are built for speed. You know, the long slender body and the long legs, those claws obviously, that long tail. while we sit patiently waiting for this this cheetah to get a move on again, we're going to send you across to Dylan at Tswalu, who's also patiently waiting for the honey badgers.
So we're not going anywhere. We're going to stick it out here. We've positioned ourselves in a good spot. We're downwind of the burrows, and we're about 120 yards away. I want to be as careful as possible. And the principle with any of these animals, doesn't matter whether it's a buffalo, a leopard, a honey badger, whatever it is no disturbance. And that's why when you're approaching animals, or you sitting at a burrow like this, try keep downwind, at a distance that even if the animal comes out, it's just going to carry on foraging. So that's what we're trying to do here. It could be doing one of two things, and I think I mentioned it earlier briefly, is that they may have been foraging the whole night, and now they've gone down, and they're going to sleep during the day and then come out later. The other alternative is that they've just gone down to rest. I've seen honey badgers do that quite a bit. Again, they've got a very high metabolism. They're very small animals, or relatively small animals. And in cool weather like this, they can burn through energy very quickly. So it may be that they've just gone down there, getting a little bit of warmth, resting a little bit, and then they'll come out again a little bit later and carry on foraging. So we're just going to stick it out here and really we're holding thumbs for this. This will be really, really good if we can find them. It's a beautiful open area. So if they do pop out, we're going to get a wonderful visual of them. And super misunderstood little animals. There's this, and they are. I mean, I agree. I've seen it myself. They can be incredibly aggressive if they need to be, to defend themselves. But one must also imagine Anna Maria has just asked if I've ever seen a honey badger confront a snake. I have. I've seen them actually catch mole snakes. I've seen them catch puff adders. I've never personally seen them go for cobras, but I know they do, and it's very, very well documented. There's really good footage available on that. So I've seen them go for snakes, definitely. But you must think that a honey badger's this size, that size. He stands that high, a big one, okay? He doesn't run particularly fast. He doesn't have particularly big or sharp teeth. Those of you who like dogs, dogs, you can imagine a Jack Russell's teeth. A Jack Russell's teeth are sharper than a honey badger's. So they've got relatively blunt teeth, but they're well designed for crushing. The head and neck muscles are very strong, so they're well designed for crushing. Their eyesight is shocking. Their hearing's good, but not for direction, because those ears are tiny for going underground and that. So they don't have a huge amount of things in their favor in terms of defense. So a really good method of defense is just to be super aggressive, because out here they could be bumping into leopards. We know leopards do attack with varying degrees of success. They do attack honey badgers. I've actually seen down in the Kruger area, I've seen a leopard attack a honey badger, and they both eventually called it quits and said, okay, well, I'm going that way, I'm going that way. They've been known to fend off lions, but then lions do kill them occasionally as well. So you're a little animal, small animal. Very often your best method of defense is to attack. But normally 10 to 1, and I think there's a lot of guides out there that would testify as well. Yeah. So Trisha's just asked a very good question. I'm going to come back onto that now, about honey guards and honey badgers. And that's a very, very interesting thing that we can chat about there. But a lot of guards will testify that very often the encounters with honey badgers are fleeting. Things there, and see it, and then it's gone again. So their first reaction is to move away. So coming back to Trisha's question about, do honey badgers lead honey guards to honey? 100% yes. The interesting thing about that is that behavior with honey guides and with badgers is learnt behavior. Okay? And the challenge there is that if you get an area where the honey guards don't occur at all for whatever reason, well, obviously honey badgers aren't going to go around trying to follow something if it's not going to take them to honey. Okay. If you get an area where honey badgers have been eradicated, but it was documented that the birds would always lead honey badgers to honey, but then those honey badgers have been eradicated for whatever reason. It could be poaching, it could be habitat loss, whatever the reasons are. If their absence goes on for long enough, those birds can actually lose that knowledge. The youngsters, each successive generation, they'll start losing that knowledge of, okay, there's a honey badger, let me call it, and then the honey badger starts following the bird, and there's the hive. So that cycle can get broken, which is very, very interesting. So when you see a honey guard, wherever you are, it doesn't automatically mean that they will lead, if there's honey badgers around, that they will lead them to hives. And the same with people. Honey guards are well known for leading people, and our colleagues down in the Lowveld, some of them may even be able to do that. Certainly some of the trackers in those areas would be well acquainted with knowing, okay, there's the call of the honey guard, follow, and they'll go over. But that can also get broken if people start losing that local knowledge of how to follow honey guards back to hives. Then the birds start losing that ability to actually take people there as well. So it's quite interesting. But in the meantime, let's head back. I think it's to Steve, and he can also chat to you a little bit about honey badgers. We're going to stick it out here.
Well, good luck, Dylan. Honey badgers are indeed my favourite animal of all time. And we've had some wonderful honey badger sightings. So, but everybody, we found honey and club's tracks in east, back to Torchwood on this road. But I just want to compare with you. So, can you see this leopard track over here, BK? It's not that clear. Just, if you can't really see it, it doesn't quite make up the knife. But then over here, there's a lion track. And here's the back pad of the lion. And there's the toes there. She's going that way. Now, the lioness's track is there, and my knife is 10 centimeters, so 13 centimeters. Leopard, female, 8 to 9, depending on the substrate. Sandy soil, obviously, makes it a little bigger. A male, ow, that was a thorn. A male lion would be even bigger and quite wide. If you look over here, here's the back pad for the female, and there's the toe. You can see that they're not too wide apart. Male lion and a leopard, very, very wide, the toe, because of the weight on the shoulders from the head. Now, just back there was Tony's trap with the cub, her cub, and I'm almost certain that it's still here. There we go. There's the cub track over there. So it's fresh. This is what we're tracking. We're going to see if we can figure out where she's gone to. This is exactly what happened the other day, everybody, when she had a kill close to quarantine that Tristan found her on, the day that Tristan found the cub, when Tony took her there. And then Hukumuri arrived that evening and stole her food. What did she do? She picked up her cub and took her cub all the way back towards the east. Now, yesterday, similar sort of area, a lioness arrives, steals her food, she picks up her cub, takes it back east. So, you could almost think of a bit of a song to that, couldn't you? But these tracks are heading east. See if we'll be able to find them for you. But it's very likely that she's gone straight back to Torchwood, still there with the cub. Oh, I wonder if you want to see the cub track. I'm sure you do. Who doesn't want to see a leopard cub track compared to a leopard mama track? Okay, so let me just pull up over here. BK is going to try frame it for you. Excuse me while I get it off. And he's going to frame it in such a way that we can put a little strap in at the bottom, aren't we, BK? So here is a leopard cub. There it is there. Here's the pack pad. And bear in mind, everybody, if you have the time and the inclination, please feel free to go through to the link below and help to support us, bringing you wild and wonderful images from the African wilderness. Now, here's the cub track. Is this one easier to see, BK? Okay, so remember we saw Tandy's track, and Tandy's track was almost up there on the knife. Now, this one is all the way there. There are the toes, and there's the back pad. You see the very nice little 3 lobes at the back there? Can you see them, BK? That is the cub track. It's going in this direction. Okay, and Mama is just over there. So the comparison, you saw the lioness track was this big, my track was this big, and the cub is that big. So he's got big feet already, and he's a little boy. You can see his little boy, how wide, from the back pad, how wide those toes are. Because he's a boy with big feet. Even with people, all boys have got wider feet than girls, don't they? Okay, so I saw almost certain. Oh, Lemmy, don't you love you some cup toes? I do too. I get so excited when we find tracks like this. But tracks that are quite different, of course, to a leopard track, but not too different, are those of a cheetah. And Clive, he's got one of those.
Welcome back again. And as you can see, this cheetah is still in exactly the same spot again. He really hasn't moved too far this morning. But we have been very, very lucky to spend so much time with him. I think we've been here about an hour and a half or so now. And we thought we'd show you him one last time before we carry on with our drive and carry on exploring through these grasslands for the last little bit of game drive. But it's always hard to leave such a special sighting like this. I mean, it's just so amazing spending time with him like this. But really exciting that Steve had the Tandy and the cub tracks, and hopefully in the next 20 minutes or so he's able to find her. That would be a very amazing way to end the drive. See how he's still facing away from the wind, keeping the wind at his back so he can smell if there's anything behind, and keeping looking up in the front. Hi Andrew, that's a very good question actually. I would say he probably isn't, there's probably not too much heat coming from the mound, probably more so just from the sun. But remember, the grass around might still be a little bit wet from the dew, so he doesn't really want to be lying down in the long grass, I suppose. And the other reason that he's chosen this spot is just because it's a slightly higher ground and he can keep lookout all around him, making sure there's no predators, or checking if there's any prey around that he'll be able to try and chase and catch. Because we've been with him this whole morning, he's been very, very alert and aware of what's around him, making sure there's no animals that he's missing, because he has got a very skinny belly and he's definitely in need of a meal quite soon. But maybe he's choosing the sit and wait technique more than the maybe he's just sitting and waiting instead of actually going and looking. But for now, we're going to leave this cheetah for this morning. This has been really nice, and we're going to send you across to Rowan, who's also warming up in the sun.
Definitely warmed up. I've lost 2 layers already. Odie is basically naked.
definitely warming up quite nicely out here. So we've checked the Timavati River now, or we're in the Timavati River, and we are looking around for this lioness with her two youngsters. It seemed that she has moved, so I don't think she's hiding the cubs in that thicket right next to the crossing anymore, where we found her the other day. So now we're just checking a little bit further west, see if maybe we can find her tracks crossing over the vehicle tracks. But so far nothing yet. Although often what she does is she'll walk along the bank, especially with the youngsters, because if she comes or she sees any sign of danger, you know, it's easier for them to go to a thicker bush from the bank side than it would be from the middle of the river. But so far no tracks. Not really a predator morning on Anbianingala today. Might have to go south in the afternoon and see what's happening there. Usually when we go south we come up with nothing. But yeah, very, very, very cool seeing all the buffalo coming down to drink at the watering hole. Feel sorry for the hippo. I think they've lost a significant amount of water. Lots of elephant tracks. As you can see, not too much is crossing the tire tracks here. This looks like either buffalo, no, elephant, that's gone up there, that kicked sand into the tire track. But other than that, not really too much. Just be nice to know where this lioness is now with the two youngsters. We try to keep track of them as much as we possibly can. Also just depends on how your morning goes. Tammy, enjoying the cruise. So are we, Tammy, especially now that it's warmer. Having a lovely time. It's always nice to drive the Timavati River as well. So I don't really need to drive, so I can turn around, chat to Odie, you know, do anything with my hands because the tires keep in the two trucks. It's always fun to drive in the river. And it's such a lovely temperature now. Bit of a breeze coming through, but not too fresh anymore. See more elephant tracks. This time going that way. It's crossed onto the other bank. Easiest way to tell is any track that goes into a certain direction. So all the trucks crossing the river, especially in the sand, almost draws an arrow. So elephants, when they pick up their feet, they almost, you know, push sand in the other direction. So we're going to keep on cruising. Sounds like Dylan is still waiting for the honey badger, so we're going to send you back over to him in Tswalu Kalahari.
In the African bush, there's only one thing more tenacious than a honey badger, and that's Gendre on a camera. We're still here, still sitting it out, and we're not going to go anywhere until we know for sure. We're just going to stick it out. We're not, yeah. But while we're here, Gendre actually spotted some really cool little things. There's these two little beetles. No beetles were harmed in this thing. Very sweet little thing. There you go. It's called a tenebrionid beetle. Very, very common out here in the dunes. And honey badgers will actually eat these little things. And even the larvae that live under the sand, they'll eat those as well. So that's just out of interest. But just to give you an idea of the size, well, you can see that one there. And this one's alive. We're going to release him now quickly, and then don't go anywhere. Okay. So that one's now walking off, and this is another one. This one's dead, long dead. It's completely dried out. It's actually even missing its head. But you can see the size difference on that other little one that I had. So these are just different species. This one, and you're going to have to take my word for it again, this one's actually a female. The male's underneath the abdomen over there. They've got a beautiful, very, very pale spot just underneath the abdomen, and they actually use that, kind of like helps them adhere to the females when they're actually mating with them. So, Chandra, can you actually get that? I don't know, is it? Chandra says I'm moving it too much. But anyway, so this one's very dry and all. But that just gives you some idea. So these are just 2 examples of food items that badgers could go for out here. But I mean, they'll climb trees, they'll raid bird nests, they'll take eggs off the ground, dig up small mammals. They love scorpions. Lenny says this is a large beetle, and it is, but it's definitely not the largest beetles that we get here. Chandra and I, we're quite bleak at the moment because one of our favourite bugs crawling around Tswalu, the armoured ground crickets, are really coming to the end of the season now. So we're keeping our eyes open to see if we find any. But they're really in short supply now. But yeah, those armoured ground crickets, for those who've been following us, are like twice the size of these. And then we've even got a kind of weevil here that is gorgeous. It's called a red spotted weevil, or a strawberry spotted weevil. It's a big black one, about almost 3 times the size of this, with these lovely strawberry red spots all over it. And but they're also very, we don't see them here often, they're very rare. But yeah, so there's a lot of cool things out here. But yeah, this one's missing a head. It's totally dry, so no one's going to be eating this now. And the other one's already marched off. So I'm hoping these badgers come out. We don't have much time left, but we're just going to stick it out here. But head back to Taylor. She's doing an amazing job with some really good sightings that side, so enjoy that.
That's about the only thing that I can find, Dylan, is elephants. Doesn't take much skill. So, funny story. Literally, one of the instructors at EcoTraining got a glimpse of a male lion now at Leopard Dam, where we had all the tracks. I think I might have walked past the lions. So those 2 males, one we know is quite nervous, just his nature, and then the other male has got an injury. But we think that they were chased away recently by some bigger males. So I just throw in a stop here. There's quite a few little birds flittering about. Maybe we can get a view of them if anybody wants to sit still. We shall see. There's a long-billed crombeck in that Marula. Well, there was. Of course, it's probably gone now. A tall, thin Marula. You do that spring noise to see. Anyways, there's lots of other little birds in the sickle bush. So basically, those lions are just hiding in the thicket, sleeping. But it's super thick there, so we're not going to bother them now. We'll try and find them in the afternoon. You can see there's lots of small birds flying around there. We've got blue waxbills on the right-hand side. If you go down a little bit, then there's nicer ones. There we go. They've just flown around. So if you zoom in on the right, perfect. You should pick up a few there. What else is that? What is that little bird? Come out so we can see what you are. Oof, there's so many things. The screen is so bright. I can't even see what I'm looking at. Sorry, I can only see the blue. There's maybe some little canaries or something in there. Maybe some female weavers too. It's very overexposed on my screen, so I can't really make out what we're looking at. What's that? That's definitely a blue waxbill. There's quite a few of them in here. But there's an array of creatures. You can even hear there's sunbirds on the lake, just flying off. You may have seen them. Look like white-bellied sunbirds, which is quite cool. But anyways, exciting prospects for this afternoon safari. We'll definitely be following up with those 2 male lions and see how they're doing. Off you go to Steve, who's also doing some birding of his own.
Thanks, Taylor. Well, we heard the pearl-spotted owlet calling. We spotted the fork-tailed drongo hovering about, and then there he is. Isn't that a magnificent little fellow? You can tell it's quite windy up in the tree there. If he turns his head a bit more, you'll be able to see. Look at the... Oopsie! He's got... It's some false eyes on the back of his head. Folks are drawing... Pearl spotted owlets have false eyes over there. I've told this funny story before. My mom, many years ago when I was a little boy, she caught me in the car doing this in her head, and she says, "What are you doing, my Steve?" And I said, "I'm looking for the eyes in the back of your head." Because my mom used to catch my brother and I doing things like that, and we always used to ask her how, and she said, "I've got eyes in the back of my head." So one day I was looking for them. I never found them though. Little boys, eh? Now when your mom catches you doing something just before you do it, just about to start, she's like, "I see that." You're like, "Whoa, I didn't do anything." It's a very nice story. So the pearl spotted owl is flying off, owlet, and they got false eyes, and that is because when they're turning, the prey animals don't know which way they're looking. So it's kind of like a protection as well. Because if something's looking at you, you're less likely to try and attack it or try and mob it because it's looking at you. Whoa, hang on. Every time he turns his head, he's looking. It's a little bit eerie. It's a nice evolutionary sort of adaptation. They are what we call diurnal owls, which means they hunt in the daytime. They can take birds up to the size of doves. It's very, very cool. That's why whenever you find them, all the birds are going crazy because they're a big threat to them, of course. Okay, everyone. Well, I made a mark of where the last tracks of Tundi and Cub headed to. It's going to require a little bit more effort this afternoon, but I've made a mark there where I'll pick up again. Just looping back as well, see if maybe they've turned back, but they've gone into sort of the drainage behind us here and possibly has come out like it did last time onto the fire break, or should I say onto the road towards Cheetah cut line. But I don't want to drive there now and obscure my tracks. I'd rather go back there this afternoon and have a good little look around with some more time. But there's been potential for cats all morning this side and I failed to provide. I'm sorry about that, but it is the way it works. We definitely heard something going on with cats before we started. I even was shouting for BK to run to the car, wasn't I, Beaks? And then we didn't hear it again. We did not hear it again. The noise that I heard sounded like that end of a mating. That's, you know, when a lion or a leopard has grabbed the female here and there's that, you know what I mean. If you haven't seen it before, it's a wonderful thing to hear, but we weren't able to find it. Anyway, we are going to carry on, slowly head on home, and we'll send you over to Ambient Pinder with Clive and his cheetah.
So I'm sure you're not surprised to still see us with this cheetah. We have gone nowhere else today, but we just couldn't leave. It's too nice, too much of a perfect view of this cheetah, and just like I said a bit earlier, it's so nice to really learn about his whole life. So we've spent probably close to 2 hours with this cheetah this morning, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. But it's been a very nice, peaceful morning. Sometimes it's nice not to drive around as much and rather just sit in one place, watch one animal. But from Marcel and myself on Ambient Pinder Private Game Reserve and all the other guides and cameramen on all the other reserves, we thank you very much for watching today, and don't forget to tune in again this afternoon for this afternoon's game drive.